Well, welcome to Inspire to Build, and I'm here with Birger, all the way from Sweden. Well, he is still in Sweden. I am still in Atlanta. So that's really exciting. And welcome, Birger. So happy to have you live with
Thank
me.
you. Thank you.
And hopefully, we have some people joining us live. Most likely, we'll see
Yeah.
people on LinkedIn. So if you are joining live, feel free to drop a comment. I got the little the live comment thing here on my
Nice.
right. If you want to drop a comment and say where you're joining from, hopefully it should appear live here. If I got this setting right, it's the first time I'm sort of using this live comment feed. But I think it could be fun.
Cool.
So if people want to say hi, that'd be super fun. And please try it out. And well, my name is Erica Hughberg, and I work at Tetrade, and I am your host. I'm inspired to build conversations with AI builders, and today we have a video. But I'm not that interesting, I don't think. Well, I'm here every time. Birger is not here every time, so he is a bit more interesting. So I think we'll start with who is Birger and why did I want him to come and join us live? Well, he's building some really cool things. So, well, first, who is Birger? Well, who are you, Birger, apart from
How
my
am I?
friend?
Right. So I usually start this by telling people like I start really take it really longly, like I was born in
Yeah.
1986, and then and people are gonna think like, is it gonna keep talking forever? But the long
Oh.
story short, I always tell people is I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and a sort of AI researcher, and I'm
Yeah.
sort of finishing up my PhD right now, and I've also been working as a full stack developer. And that's sort of the very short version of that. So I've sort of have two competencies, one in, or three, if you think about one in sort of clinical psychology, one in AI, and one in sort of as a developer. That's a very
Yeah.
short intro to me. Yeah.
Well, I do like that you were born and then you're a
Yes.
psychologist,
Yes.
clinical psychologist, and now
Yeah.
you're a researcher.
Yeah.
And and now you are building things though, which I think is really
That's true.
exciting. Well, I mean, you've
Me
always
too.
been seem to have been building things, but
Yes.
and now you're building. I feel like I'm really silly because I keep trying to pronounce this correctly,
Yeah. That's
and
fine. It's fine. Like you can pronounce it whatever. Well, it's like my name. Whoever people have ever got wrong, you can pronounce it however you want.
my husband tries to pronounce your name regularly, which I think is
Yeah.
funny. But I want to say Eir.Space.
Yeah. Eir.Space. I think it's nice. That's
Okay.
yeah. So that's what I'm building, and I'm just going to tell you about it, right? So basically, I'm building a space for people to sort of know their own health, basically. And I think sort of course, everyone knows that AI is good now, and the question is sort of like, how can we actually use that to empower people? And so I've been doing for 5 years. I've done my PhD, sort of thinking about these questions and sort of evaluating AI models in the medical domain, and sort of based on that thinking, like how can we do this in sort of responsible way? I built a platform that I thought like I hope does that, and I think it sort of combines different aspects. So both you can load in your electronic health records and sort of use AI to sort of so you can understand that better. But also there's other tools like sort of looking at health programs and way to do self-assessments and sort of ways to sort of help you improve your health. And for me, I wanted to sort of be holistic in the sense that you combine both the physical health and the mental health, and sort of having it so yeah, everyone can use it basically. Like you can be healthy or you can have some kind of problem, a health problem, and you both. Yeah, so everyone can basically use it. That's sort of the way I think about it. And maybe I should show also if
Yeah,
that's
you can show, but I also want to say hi to Christopher and
yes,
Aman, who's joining us, who's saying
cool,
hi in the chat. If anyone else is joining, you feel free to say hi. I'm really excited for people who are joining. If you have questions for Birger, feel free
nice,
to drop them in the chat as well. I'll
nice.
yeah, I think you
Oh,
can see the tool. Yes, you can see it, even
right,
though I got the chat here as well. Yeah.
nice. I will. I love it. Like my dream is to say like have a chat that sort of like helps me in my life. So that would be the dream. So we're getting there, right? So basically, this is sort of a way to sort of I basically I'm going to show you, but so right now it works for Sweden. So in Sweden we have a system for our health notes where you can sort of get your health data. So I'm just going to quickly get my own health records, right?
Oh, you're going to show those? You're going to show your health records?
I'm going to show my health. I think I'm allowed to do that because it's my health record.
Your
I
health
think so.
record. I think that is okay.
I think that's okay because it's my health record, right? Yeah. And saying that, like, I think we thought a lot about privacy, and basically one thing is, so now we're sort of loading them in, is we want you to be safe with this, and we sort of have a zero data retention policy. So everything is stored on the device, which is sort of this website, right? So and we don't store any data, and our API provider doesn't do that. And then now it loaded in my health data, and now I can sort of chat about my health. And so the AI will sort of do a summary, looks at all my notes, and it's like, okay, what are the most important things? And this will be in Swedish, but I'll show you. So it's just making a summary in Swedish here about my health. And it's sort of looking like, okay, and this is in Swedish, I'm going to translate here, but it's like, okay, I did some vårdkontakter, and I had some things going on. I had some things in my teeth. This is true. And it's also saying...
And that means that you had appointments, effectively.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also fine, like this thing, it's like, okay, there's something in my toe, and this is true. I sort of, like, I broke, sort of, didn't really break my toe, but I sort of stubbed it really badly. And so you can find that and see, like, okay, you actually kicked a wall, it really hurt, and then I had this issue with my toe, right? So it sort of gives me this information and tells me about these things, right? And this sort of, you can also, of course, ask questions. Okay, what happened, so on. And so it's sort of a nice way to sort of get the information. And if I click one of these, I can see, like, okay, this sort of comes up and be like, okay, this is sort of the note here. And if I close this down, I can look, okay, this has actually happened here, and here's the note from this. And then I can sort of look, okay, what did the person write about my toe? And then you can sort of filter your data, like, okay, I only want to see diagnoses, right? And then let's say my different diagnoses. And of course, these are mine, but like this is, yeah, and this could be sensitive. I think I don't have much sensitive information, but it tells me about the different things that happen to me, right? So that's one aspect of the app. And we also have a way to sort of, you can add information yourself about different aspects and sort of journaling, sort of like how you're feeling. And we can also do some kind of a health analysis where the app sort of based on your information gives you a sort of overview of your health. And look at, like, okay, what are the things that happen? And so it finds the toe thing, and also look at other things. Like I got a sort of serious infection. I had to go to the hospital and was very sick with that a few years ago. So it sort of gets that and sort of sees, like, okay, here's my things. Here's what's happening with your health, right? So that's one part of the app, which we think is really important. But we also have some other parts.
We also have some questions.
Yeah,
we do have questions. Maybe you can see them on the screen here. Can you see them?
Yes.
Otherwise, I think I can show them here.
Yeah. Is able to import medical records. Yeah, depending on like where you are, right? So where are you, Christopher? If we start asking that, are you in Sweden or are you in some place?
I happen to know Christopher. He's in the US.
So the thing is, what we're doing right now is we're looking at different countries and looking at, like, how can we figure out how to import these notes, right? And the way I think about this is, like, this is your information, right? This is your health, right? And this, like, understanding that the information the healthcare system has about you is your information, and we want to give that to you, right? So and Christopher, if you know what healthcare provider you have and things like we can talk about that, and we can see how we can integrate that. So now we're working, we have Sweden working, but we sort of wanted to work in other nations. So that's, so that's basically, so we really, that's the plan, right? And if this is available to public, the website is live, so you can try it out. This is in a beta, so like there might be bugs and things and on, and we're really looking for feedback. Try it out and see what works, what doesn't work. Like, how do you want to improve this? And we really want to empower people, and we want people to say, like, okay, this sucks. It would be amazing if you did this. All this is really helpful for us. And if you want to give feedback, it would be amazing if you can join the Discord. I think we have a Discord link somewhere.
Oh yeah. First I put up the link, the QR code for Eir.Space, but otherwise it's just Eir.Space.
Yeah, and
here's the QR for the Discord invite.
Yeah. So because we really want that, and we want, like, you to sort of tell us how we can improve this and sort of helpful. So that would be really, really nice. I'll go back and show some more things if that's okay.
Absolutely. Sorry, I just wanted to get the questions
amazing
that were there.
Yeah, amazing. So then we have sort of a section on health assessment, and here we have more like sort of. So I have a background as a clinical psychologist, so I know all about this. A different sort of assessment. Okay, do you have ADHD? Other things, and sort of you can do this sort of self-assessment in different areas to get a sort of broader view of you, right? And then we also have some AI tools, so based on this, it sort of gets this, sort of helps you understand like what does the results means for you, right? So if you do this, fill this out, it's going to give you a nice sort of picture of your sort of health in different areas. We also have a section called health programs. And this is sort of also inspired on my psychology background. So basically, these are sort of inspired by principles about CBT. And these are sort of cognitive behavioral therapy based on the idea that you sort of have exercises and homework. And the idea is like, when you're doing something, you can learn how to do it, but you sort of also have to get out and do it. And I believe that and sometimes people are like, oh, but this isn't a cool video. This is just boring text. But basically, you think about it sort of like, but that's not the important part. The important part is sort of like, okay, based on where you are, in what ways do you want to improve health, or what do we want to focus on, and how can these sort of things help you, right? And looking at sort of exercises.
Do I get suggestions for what to do based on my medical record, or is this?
Yes. And so that's exactly the plan, and it's not integrated in all, but that is exactly the plan, that based on what your medical records say, it's going to tell you both like assessment, the things are going on. So the other parts of that's going to be inspired by that. So that's exactly how we think about it. And so this is for ADHD. We had different programs for some chronic health, relationships, professional development, which are like, these are not like, like how do you sell stuff, right? It doesn't have to be sort of about sort of disease. And I think the way I like to think about this is that it's sort of holistic in the sense, like, even you have some medical issue, you're a full person. You have good sides and you have bad sides, and your things are working, not working. And thinking about this, you can sort of pick what you want to focus on. So that's sort of that area. And if you go down here, you can see that there are sort of these questions you fill out, and if you fill out all the questions, the AI chat will sort of help you move forward in the program. And then you have some kind of modules. So like, you can think like, it's nice to sort of do a module weekly or something like that, but you can sort of do it on your own pace based on different aspects that you want to work on. And then we have a section on sort of that's more focused on sort of different, like you can think of it, I think about it sort of like more about what functions do we have, like how do we work, right? So different things like what are we exposed to, sort of like both self-awareness. We have a section where you can get feedback from other people, can be scary. But we have an AI tool, so it's sort of, if you get feedback...
When you get feedback from the AI instead of people.
No. This is for real people. So this works. I might actually have...
What if I find it scary to get feedback?
So I actually have some feedback here, right? And so this seems scary, right? And it sort of gives you insights. And I think I also might have given myself feedback, but basically the idea is we think about sort of like insights and actions. And insight is like, what do you need to learn? And actions is what you need to do. And that's sort of like, okay, can I be better at sort of solving deeper technical problems? And this is actually, I gave myself the feedback, right?
Yeah.
And then you can make a link here and you send it to people, and then they can give you feedback, and you can give feedback to yourself, right? And then what's amazing about this is the AI transform for feedback. So you will never see what they say. It's just going to tell you what insights, what you need to learn, and actions, what you need to do.
So I could send that to my husband, and he can say what he thinks that I should be better at, and he can say that he thinks I should be more organized, and I should empty the dishwasher.
Right. Yes.
And I should be making the bed more often, things like that. And it would say that in a nice way.
Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't even have to say it in a nice way, because the AI is going to transform it to you. And so we prompted it, so it's like it's just going to give you in a nice way. And I think this sort of way to sort of make the barrier to feedback smaller. So, but we have many different sections. I won't go through all of them. This is a favorite of mine. And we have inspired different sections of psychology. So shadow work is sort of...
I heard about shadow work.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is the idea that thinking like your sort of negative patterns and the things you're doing are sort of actually, and maybe someone you don't like could be related to like what's triggered inside of you, right? And sort of finding these sort of things, like, can you be curious about that instead of being... So that's one section where we have many sections, right? We have emotions and sleep and so on. And basically, I want to think about this sort of like that you want to try out things and see like, and I think be curious, right? That's what I'm going for. You want to be curious about do this, right? And writing is nice, getting nice health actions, and so on, right? And we also, of course, like we have brain training, right? We have all this cool shit, right? So here can you do some brain training if you want, and these are sort of standard brain training things that we know work, right? And sort of this, you sort of guess these patterns, right? So we have like different aspects of health you can work on.
So your background, do you feel like your background in clinical psychology has influenced a lot of what this platform is?
Absolutely. I'm going to see if I can finish this pattern. Do you think I can do it? Okay.
No, I don't think so, because I'm going to distract you.
Yeah, there we go. See, I didn't make it. Anyway,
look,
I
I'm
absolutely.
going to distract you.
Yeah. And so I don't think holistic is a bad word, right? And the thing you realize is since AI models have they basically know, they know everything, right? They aren't limited in like they only know a bunch of different domains, so they can be helpful in this. For them, it's not a problem. They don't have to say, oh, but I know about psychology, but I don't know about sort of like nutritional health or other things, right? So that's a nice tool in this way. I want to show this quickly. The last section, which I also like, is sort of the idea that we can sort of based on where you are, you can sort of also get access to where's the closest place to get care, right? And so this is like I'm in the middle of somewhere, so it's telling this is the closest to me. But we want to sort of make it this way, and we want the product also to be a way where we're not saying don't like go to the clinic or don't use health clinic. We want to sort of empower you to do that too, and I think this is an important thing to do. So you should also sort of be a part of this also, and I think they can sort of strengthen each other, because you can go to the doctor and say, this is my issue, I really understand what's going on, and then you can hopefully get better help. Yeah, so that's basically it. And we have some docs and there's some things in profile. You can sort of change to these themes, right? So if you want it to be a nicer color, I like the green one, but yeah, different things you can change.
I did wonder, okay, this is so silly, because I used it, the classic theme, and I was like, have you changed the
this
color?
Is the classic theme, but we have themes, right?
I do like the green. The green is
the green
pretty.
is better, and you can sort of choose, right? We don't make it. We might change the default depending on like what people like, but so basically that's it.
I think we should ask anyone who's like listening if they like the green. I think they should drop a comment. I vote for the green as the classic default. I think that should be promoted.
I think so.
Green feels healthy.
Nice.
I think that can be promoted to the default.
Nice, we can do that. And there's basically a for you section. People know about it. Then you can add stuff like, so this is sort of, here we have some binaural beats. I'm not sure I can play audio, but I can try. I can hear it.
I can hear it.
Right. So this is sort of a binaural beat.
I can't really hear you.
Yeah. So and the thing is like, so you have these different sections for different things, and so you can sort of explore that. And yeah, so that's basically the app, and we're really open for feedback. Anything is helpful. So and I think I'm gonna stop sharing. But then there you go.
I think it's like really interesting, especially how you have come to build this. So what really though inspired you to build this particular solution to come to this? So you have almost finished got your actual PhD. Well, you finish almost everything, and
I think
it's pretty much finished, right?
I have my defense in 10 days.
Yes.
So the book is ready, everything's ready, but technically it's not done yet. But
you could almost say congratulations.
Almost
congratulations.
No, so answering the questions like why I built this, I think
because this is I guess this is a beginning of, as you're ending one chapter, I guess this is the beginning of another, but it is very heavily influenced by the past as well, of your history of clinical psychology and so forth. So tell us a bit more about what inspired this particular project.
So I think different things, like I built, one thing is like technically I built sort of online CBT platforms before, and sort of this idea, and for that, the sort of mind-blowing realization, even for me, that you can read text on a computer and it can improve your life, right? In a profound way, right? And you see like, oh, that's silly. Like you can't just read this program, right? And it's going to help you profoundly. But that is really true. And I've worked with this, so I know it's to be true, right? And so that's one thing, like knowing like these things actually work. And so I've also clinically worked a lot with that. I think from the other side, it's sort of from my background, I sort of grew up in a family with a lot of medical doctors. So I've always had this sort of feeling or sort of knowledge about how this sort of works, and knowing when to go see a doctor, how to think about health in a way. And that isn't obvious to everyone. It sort of dawned on me when I had, like, so I'm 39, so I'm sort of at the age where people sort of start, sadly, some, you might know, some people start to get sick. And understanding that at least 2 cases where there are people who, I mean, it could have been nicer if they came to care earlier or had a better understanding of this. But since they sort of, if you don't have this sort of background, which is sort of, it might be hard to have this sort of, I talk about health literacy, right? Knowing when to see the doctor, knowing what to say, knowing how to do this process, it can be very, very challenging.
Yes.
And I think in helping people to sort of embolden them, empower them about their health, and also how to sort of navigate that is sort of what thing I think about. Because at the end of the day, of course, AI tools can't solve health, but they can sort of help you sort of think about it and know about it.
Be a compass in a
way. Yeah, exactly. And it's also that they're so good now that before we had this sort of symmetry where you had a medical doctor or some other healthcare worker who knew everything about something and you knew very little, right? And this is sort of changing now. Now we're all using the same models, right? And they know, right? And this sort of democratization of knowledge is very interesting to think about how this will shape. And I think empowering people to take responsibility for their own health, I think, is a good way to do that.
Yeah, it's almost, so I was just thinking about this now. If you think about it as if you are a traveler with your own health, and you now have access to the map and the compass and the navigation system, but the doctor is more of an expert navigator, and you can navigate together, and that's kind of becomes interesting. Right.
And I think there's a metaphor, right, for programming, right? And so, and of course, Andy Kapathy, who named vibe coding, right? And which is this idea of, instead of you program, you have an AI tool who programs for you, and you sort of feel how it's going, right? So the vibe is like, okay, this is going well, like, and it's sort of like Jesus takes the wheel kind of coding, right? And I think there's a parallel to that sort of vibe health, right? Where it is a way to sort of help and inspire you with AI tools. But I think there's one thing that, like, for you, that's so powerful with using AI tools, and it's, of course, that you know your own body, right?
Yeah.
It's your body, right? You feel everything inside your body, right?
Yeah,
no one else
know
does that.
things that no one else knows. Yeah.
And you feel everything, right, inside your body. And you can, of course, you have sense and stuff like that, and that's something we want to integrate, but you feel that. And then, so you are in such a good position to use that information. And if you tell someone else, like, oh, Erica, I'm not feeling so well. Okay, what does that really mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's a, right? But for you, it's like primary.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing to help people really be also in tune with their health and listen to their bodies and understand them. I have questions for you, Birger, but I also know that Aman has a question for you.
Amazing.
So I'd bring that up because it is also in line with some of the questions I would ask you. So let's sort of weave our questions together. And obviously AI is evolving always, constantly. And what I would like to explore together with you what some of the things that you are hoping to continue to build on Eir.Space. And so I'm just wondering, what's upcoming plans to add? And I would like to ask if there's anything that is inspiring you, like in the evolution of AI, that will help you.
I mean, so basically, I done a PhD during this AI project. Like, I start with the last question, right? I done a PhD during this AI process. It's been mind blowing, right? Because I think when I started, I've been doing AI long before that, right? But when I started my PhD, none of this latest wave was here, right? It's crazy, right? It's insane. And I think what's cool about it, it's the more you know, the crazier you think it is. Right? I've evaluated these models, the thinking models, right, on medical tasks. And they're very, very good, right? And it's like, you can see this sort of like in the understanding, if you think about language as a sort of sort of the space between words, right? And you think you map this out completely, right? And you get something like truth, right? And you can take it for all languages, right? And you map out this entire structure. This is all the human knowledge. And now we have these models who understand that entire structure. And we don't do that. One person can't do that, but they can do that. It's crazy. I think it's very, very cool. And I think the way I think about this is like, if the quality of knowledge sort of goes up, that's going to empower everyone, right? And I think this sort of happens. You have better tools, you have better AI, you have better all this. Like, so it's I'm very happy. It's very, very interesting and very fun. I think, but I also think it's sort of the thing where we have to build on these tools, right? And the way I thought about this, that I have a responsibility to build, right? Because I know how to do it, and I can build this tool, right? Because I have this sort of knowledge, right? So I sort of have a responsibility to do it. And I think people have a responsibility to be a part and build these tools, right? And I think what's cool, like everyone can do that. And if you ask the other question about upcoming plans, I think one thing I'm really focused on is looking at how can I integrate healthcare data for other nations, right?
Yeah.
How can I get everyone to get their healthcare data in, right? And so I'm talking to people in Finland, I'm talking to people in Norway, but basically this is something that I would love to help. If you, no matter where you are in the world, and you don't need any technical skills, so you can talk to me, but help me integrate that information.
I think that's a really interesting thing as well. Yeah, like people who are somewhere in the world and that understands their medical record system, if they can help figure out how they can help standardize or help make it possible to load their data in, so they can benefit, as you say, from this innovation in AI, this, so that people can understand the health data better and understand their bodies better. And I see this comment from Ammon. Maybe this is outside of MySpace, but maybe you understand what. I don't know this model.
So in terms of models, like you look in the profile with the model we're using, we have the default to Action OpenAI 120 billion model. But this is of course something we're looking into, like which is the best model, how we're looking at that, and all of these are things that we're interested in, seeing like what works best. So that's very, very good. Amazing. There's an entire like very technical discussion we can have about everything.
It's very technical, but I do think it's interesting here as we maybe take a little detour into the technical details of your solution, because that is interesting. Because we talked about privacy a little bit, because I do know that you've told me before that is really important to you. You mentioned it earlier as well. So you did choose to leverage a model provider that is able to ensure that you aren't having any data retention. Are you using only one model or multiple models in your solution? And how do you think about the user experience here? Like just from creating these, first of all, do you use one or many models? That's my first question.
Well, we're using technically now there's 2 live, but we have more right behind the scenes, right?
Okay.
And I think it's sort of the way I think about it going forward. Probably we're going to have some kind of routing solution people can sort of pick, but I think it's nice to have a good default as a start. Sort of not answering, we both have an agent mode and a sort of standard mode. I'm assuming everyone knows what that is, right?
Sorry, we've got so many comments now as well. I'm like, wow, we got engagement.
So the agent mode is like basically you think like you have a function calling and RAG if you want in a loop, right? And then you can sort of run this agent and for handling some things like we have this assessment thing and other things where you have agent mode. And I think in terms of model, so I've done a lot of work evaluating models.
Yeah.
And I sort of come to the conclusion that for some things, at least in the beginning, the models, if you have a large model, they're usually good enough, right? And this is something looking at evaluating, but I think good enough is something to think about, like how good are models now? And the models are good now. And so, and I wouldn't say that that's sort of the primary bottleneck, right? And of course, if you're building agent systems and sort of have different function calling stuff, like there's a brittleness in the code, and you sort of like you can sort of like have spaghetti code, but it's sort of function calling where you have different things going on in your prompt, and you might have like want to split up to sub agents. There's some things like that we're looking into, I don't remember what was the other question.
Hey.
The tech stack, right?
Like, how do you? I was
Yeah.
wondering about the
Yeah.
UX and
Yeah.
how, because something that I find really fascinating. I know we have a bunch of comments, but
Yeah.
I always
Amazing.
find it fascinating when you think about the experience of
Yeah.
someone, because sometimes AI features in an app can feel almost just like forced on or glued on
Yeah.
almost, right?
So,
How
yeah.
to, yes, you have the powerful back end, the
Yeah.
smart stuff behind the
Yeah.
scenes, but I think we've all been using an app where it feels awfully jarring, where it's like, hey, here we slapped on
Yeah, we
AI
put in
chat.
some AI. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and the way I think about that, I think everyone who's sensible building something has to answer the dreaded questions like, how are you different from ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
And basically the thing, and I think you should have a sensible answer to that. And basically, it shouldn't be, oh, we have a chat and they have a chat. And so answering that question, I think we, of course, have different sections. And the way I think about it is like, I think taking at the LLM and the AI chat should sort of have a backseat, right? So one feature
What's
we
the
have,
journey like? Yeah, like thinking about this journey
so
of the user.
so one feature I like is that there's one feature where you can make a health actions, or so it makes health action based on your history of what you're writing about, right? So it gives you health actions, so like small short actions to do, right? And this is nice because it makes you like 5 actions, and you can choose to do one, and it's sort of quick and easy and based on something. You can also say like, can you make them about this? And this is sort of a nice AI feature because AI can make a lot of content, right? We also have features to build the entire CPT programs, and this sort of a better feature. But like thinking about in this way, I think is nice. And of course, people will use ChatGPT or other models, and I think that could be helpful. But you should think about how to integrate this in sort of a standard web app. Well, that's how I think about it, at least.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So if you were to
integrated in,
So if you were to summarize, like if you are building your own AI powered features in your app, so if you are another builder, what would your advice be for someone building their AI powered features in an app? How would you approach designing a feature?
That's a good question. So it's interesting because now it's much faster to build a feature, right? So I can say I use Cursor and I use Codex mainly for coding. And so Codex, if you haven't known, that's ChatGPT's version. And what I like about that is it's not always good, right? But what you can do is you can have an idea and you can tell Codex, build an idea, and it becomes a pull request in your repo. And sometimes they're bad, right? But the idea is you sort of get started, and then the Cursor is sort of the main coding thing. Wait, what was the question again? So
how would you think about designing I was thinking like, how do you design the UX? Do you prototype first? Because I felt like you were there talking about prototyping very quickly. So do you prototype quickly and put it in front of a user to see how they use it?
So
is
actually,
that what you do?
I think basically yes. Sort of basically, and I would say if you go back, you only a few weeks or a month. I hope it's not saved on the internet. The UX
this is saved on the internet. Oh, you mean UX?
Yeah.
They talk like what you say right now will be saved on the internet. This is recorded.
The UX was, I would say, terrible, right? Because I show some friends like, what do you think about this? And they're like, what? Because there was too much shit going on. There might still be, right? But it was worse, right? And I think the way to think about it is like get it in front of people, and that's the one thing. And the other thing is sort of you also sort of need to try to get some kind of, I like the sort of idea of taste, right? Like, how do you know if you're vibe coding, right? How do you know what you're building is any good, right?
Okay.
And you can't always know that, right?
Functionally good or design-wise good?
Both, right? If it's functionally good, is it design-wise good, right? And thinking like, how can you design that taste? And of course, you need someone to tell you this sucks, right? To gain that taste, right? So that
well, it's nice if someone cares. It's nice if someone cares enough to tell you that it sucks, though. That is not everyone cares enough to tell you that, Birger. That is people who will not even tell you anything.
That's the big thing. Like when I ask for feedback, and I think people don't want to hurt my feelings, which is fine. Maybe I'm not the best taking feedback, but the problem is when you ask for feedback, can you please give me feedback? And they think, I don't know about this app. This guy sucks. It's never going to work out, or whatever. That's maybe not so constructive, but it can. If it is something like one thing that is like can you make the menu smaller or whatever? Then you sort of have something to work on.
Yeah.
And I think it's very tricky to get that feedback, because people, they don't want to, like, they tell you it's either, oh, that's great. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but can you be more specific?
So basically, if there's anyone listening right now and you have feedback, don't be afraid to tell Birger your actual feedback. He does appreciate it.
It's fine. And I think it's like, I understand, like, but the thing is, like, I think both it sucks and it's amazing. Provide little information, right? I mean, maybe it sucks, it's like, you shouldn't do this, and it's amazing you continue doing this, but
well, if they are like, a little bit more specific, then it sucks. It's obviously more helpful.
Yes.
But
so we have a question in the chat that I'm going to take over here.
Yes, we do. Yes, feel free. I wanted to ask my questions. There are loads of questions here.
Yes.
Are you able to click the show button, or would you like me to click one of them?
I see them. I see and it's a question about.
I'll just show all of them here, so you can maybe. Can you see them on the screen?
Right. So one thing I thought a lot about is sort of how to think about data and sort of this everything in GDPR, all this stuff. And basically, the conclusion I came to was, at this point in time, I'm going to save no data. Right. I'm saving nothing. So that's basically the thing. If you're on the web and you're using the app, it's stored on your computer, right? And if you're on your phone, it's stored on that phone, right? We haven't synced that yet. We can do that. There is a way to do that. But the way I think about it is primary, no data retention. And we have our IPA provider also gives a sort of zero data retention. Like, I don't want your data. I'm not going to, like, that's the way I think about it. I don't want it. I want you to have your health data.
Yeah, you want me to understand.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to have it, and I want to do something. You can download your health data if you have it, all this stuff. I don't want to have it. We have a system where you can actually download a file with everything and load it up again. If it's like back in the day with floppy disk, right? You can bring your data, but I don't want it. That's the way I think about it. And I think it's a nice first step. And going forward, of course, technically we can add all this stuff, but I think that's how I think about this now.
Yeah. And I think, you answered this question as well, I think.
And this is basically, I'm really interested in local models, and I think it's very cool. And I think
I am too. You and I have talked about this. We're very interested in what can be done here.
Yeah.
And
I think we're not there yet, but I really hope to be there. And actually, when I built this, when I sort of built some prototypes for this, I actually did check out this, and I've tried different things. I tried building a native app and some other things, and I looked at like, oh, how can I get this work? But I think it's at this point in time, getting started. You need sort of a large model from an API provider, I think. But I think, like, give it a year or two. If people have nice computers, they can run things on their computers, and I think it's nice. And this is where I wanted to go. So
yeah. I think that there is this. I have a thought. See what you think about this video.
Yeah.
I believe that there might be a future where we will see, a nearer future, we will see hybrid architectures.
Yeah.
Where and I think we already see it, especially Apple is doing some of this already, right? Where we see hybrid architectures where some processing is happening on device, and some is being sent like off to the cloud, right? Where we make decisions about, can this be processed on a small local model? Do we have the hardware available to run it? And I think as our devices get more powerful, but also as we are creating lighter models and specialized models that can do specific things, I do think there's a near future of hybrid architectures.
And I agree with you, and I think so one thing I don't like about this current point in time is, like, because the LLMs are so big, there is not enough tinkering going on, right? Because you need, like, we need 100,000 GPUs or something, because billions and billions do stuff. But I think, and of course people are tinkering, but not as much, right? But if and I think there are the hardware people, like the Mac people and the NVIDIAs of the world, right, might be incentivized to slightly. I mean, I think that some things come down in cost, so people can actually run these models and train this model locally. I think that it could reach a really ecosystem of people who run this. And I think thinking about this, that like running and training and working with these models, I think this is going to happen and become mainstream. And then it's going to be fantastic. And then you have all these custom models. But and we're getting there, right? But I think we're not there yet, sort of. I want to get there,
We'll
but
get
I'm not.
there. I think we will get there.
We'll get there.
I have hope. I have
Yeah.
hope, and I think this is like really exciting.
Nice.
And I do believe that there's so many different models though that people can try out, and I do think, like Aman mentioned earlier, I don't know about these like medical space models at all. Like I think, Aman, you seem to definitely have your eye on things in space, but I don't.
Nice.
And like, Birger, I have like obviously want to ask you my standard question that I have, as we are sort of at the 12:52 mark in my local time, not your local time, because you know that it's not the same time, we're different time zones. But if you were to, you've recently started building this actually, which I think doesn't make my standard question really the same, but I'm going to modify it for you. So for people who are starting building medical AI powered solutions, or people who are in this space, what kind of advice would you give them if they also wanted, like, what should they think about? How we talked about privacy, for example. How would you recommend they think about this? What other things do you recommend beyond people who are building in the health space? What else do you recommend if they're building AI powered solutions?
So I think one thing that is very, very tricky to get past, but you have to get past, and there are many ways to do that, right? And I'll tell you those two, is you need to get past the paralyzing fear of regulation. Like, you need to do that, and you need to think about, like, okay, there are regulations, there is to think about that, and I think you should think about those questions carefully, right? And think, like, how does this work? But if you're building something, if you're coding something on your computer, right? You're sitting there coding something. You need to have sort of an open mind and a space to believe, like the EU GDPR Council won't knock on your door tomorrow, right? When you're coding on your computer. When you're a big company, when you have real healthcare data, when there's things going on, there might be things you have to think about, and you should think about these things. But I think what can happen, and even for me who've been working this for years, that it's very hard to get through that. Oh, what about GDPR? What about the AI Act? What about this thing? And for instance, like now the AI Act, they seem to water it down. So all this regulation, then might be, maybe we don't have to worry about that, right? And there are specific solutions, I would say, if you're working with this space and you're curious, I would say, like, synthetic data, meaning, okay, I'm doing something in the healthcare space related to this. Okay, can you make synthetic data you can work with, right? And do the testing, all the stuff with the synthetic data, not the real data, because then you're sort of not doing something with real patient data, right? And then you can sort of build your product and get started and get underway and sort of get over the hump. And then you're sort of free to think about this. And I think this is very important, because I think many people are sort of like, and I think it's also a paralysis where people are saying, we don't know what to do. We don't know what the regulators say. We don't know what we're allowed to do. And this is not helpful. As a builder, as a programmer, you should program, right?
And
so that's,
And so obviously, you are a bit of a special position because you have both studied psychology and been a clinical psychologist, and you have a PhD in computer science and AI and machine learning, all of that space.
Almost a PhD. We're getting there.
Well, okay, almost. But you are a bit of a... Do other people need all of this to build the solutions in this space? I don't kind of feel like I need to ask, because obviously, looking at you, people might think, it's the only way to be operating in this space, to collect all of this experience.
Don't like the titles. I don't like. Don't worry about that. I think what you need to do is, I think one thing you can always do that's very cool is you can think about you, right? What do I need, right? And what's really fun about this moment in time is you can build something for yourself and be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this existed? And then you're like, okay, and I think for me, this idea, I had a paper I wrote that got published this year, and I built an interface for that last year, and this is a sort of only a sort of a journaling app, right? And I think also think about when you're building things, that is a stepping stone. You try out, you build some idea, you come somewhere, then you try something else and things like. And I think it's nice to keep going, but it's also nice to think the things you have built before are helpful to you, even if this didn't make it to, it's all helpful, right? And so this might be, I wouldn't say there are attempts, but I've built sort of different versions of this, and thinking about that way, you're trying something out. And I like the metaphor of working out, right? And for me, I think about that sort of like, I got a lot of papers published this year, and maybe 0 papers published last year, right? But you sort of work out, right? You work out, and then it's hard, and you shit, and the reviewers tell you suck, and you sort of get rejected.
Build some muscle.
Yeah, you build some muscle. And I think the same with the coding and building products. And building a product is not the same as coding, but you're building muscle, and it's sometimes a painful process, because feedback is painful, right?
Yeah.
When you build something, you think it's great, and they don't understand your vision, and you're like, but you sort of, if you keep pushing, you get stronger. And even if the thing you're doing might not, we don't know what's going to happen with that, but you get stronger, right? By doing the thing. And I think that's the thing. You sort of think about this like, oh, we're working out. And then when it's painful, you'll be like, oh, I'm working out. Great. It's a workout. Yes.
Like doing a live stream over and over again.
Yeah. Yes.
But I think that that's really good. People can go into this space and they can build things, and they don't need a PhD to get started.
Yeah.
And they don't need to have a degree in psychology, and they don't need to go into space. And it's okay. They can, even if they have, if they can build, if they have a problem, and if they are curious, they can get into this space, and they shouldn't be afraid, and they shouldn't feel paralyzed by all of the regulation in this space. And it's possible.
No, and exactly. But I think at some point in time, like with the regulation and all that, of course, these are things you have to sort of answer, right?
Yeah.
But you shouldn't start day one. Okay,
being
I'm going to fill out my GDPR form. Yeah, exactly. Because then you need to sort of, and I think thinking is a process where you need to be free. You can't do that at the same time. And maybe if you can find someone to help you with that, maybe and then you can focus. I'm going to code this person, however we want to do it, right?
And if you're a software engineer and you are about to dip your toes, we're about to wrap up here, but if you're a software engineer and you are about to dip your toes into this world of AI powered features, where should you start?
By building with AI?
Adding AI features into your app.
Okay.
If you wanted to understand this world, where should you start your journey of curiosity?
Oh, I see. I mean, I think it's like, it's like a hello world. I'm gonna talk forever now, but like we used to have MNIST as a hello world in AI, right? The deep learning. Yeah. And I think hello world is actually implementing like a streaming chat thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that's like, you don't have to do that. Like that doesn't have to be your app. But I think
but just world, to get your head around it.
Yeah. And then step 2 is like, okay, can we add function calling in agents? And then you sort of build your own agent. Like, I built my own agent. And you'll be like, yeah, we're working with agents,
Yeah, like start.
That's step 2.
Maybe don't start by adding the feature into your app, but starting by getting your head around calling the APIs.
Yeah, calling the API. And it's so easy now. And like everyone has the same API, and of course AI models know how to call an AI model. So you can ask your AI model how to call an AI model, right?
I think that's a good piece of advice.
Yeah.
Well, so Birger, as we're about to wrap up, we are out of time. So the last thing I'd like you to tell people is how can they, and so call to action. We mentioned it earlier, but let's mention it again. How they can get in touch with you. What you'd like people to do. And so obviously they can find you on LinkedIn. This is your
find me on LinkedIn. I mean, and they talk to me in Discord. Try the app and give me feedback. Tell me I suck. Tell me I don't suck. Like, tell me what you think. But I think it's nice if you understand the vision. If not, that's also part of feedback.
Yeah. So here's a QR code for the Discord. You can get invited to. And here is the link, the new QR code there. Here's the link for the app. So obviously you can find Birger on the LinkedIn. Otherwise, you can, if you are watching this on LinkedIn Live, you can easily find Birger and connect with him. And we can drop the links in the comments on LinkedIn and on YouTube, so you can find it easily. Otherwise, my name's Erica Hughberg, and you can find me on LinkedIn. Here's my LinkedIn code. And I said I work at Tetrate, and if you want to get started with building AI-powered features, you can also sign up to the Tetrate Agent Router service on router.tetrate.ai. That's the QR code that's there. And if you sign up with a business email, you get $5 and you can play around. So maybe you can get your head around the APIs, and that's OpenAI API compatible. So hope you can get a try with that. And also got some MCP support, so you can route MCP as well. So maybe get your agents going and learn a bit, and let me know if you need help. So you can find me on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, Birger, it's been amazing having you here. And not just you being here, but everyone who tuned in live, asking questions, adding their own perspectives. We talked a lot about privacy and data privacy. It's been amazing. I'm so grateful.
It is important, like in data privacy, and I think like getting that right is very important. I'm going to say, like, shout out to everyone. Like, it's your data. Your healthcare data is your data. You should get it. That's fine.
And but I'm really, really thankful, Birger. But thank you, everyone. I'm going to end the stream and see you next time.
Yeah, cool. Bye.